Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today is an informative video. That's why we are sitting in a very cool place. But more importantly, today we are going to talk about types of exhausts and why people change their exhaust systems in cars. It's a huge topic. A lot of people have asked us a lot of questions about this as well.
And I think exhaust is one modification which somebody really understands often. Like, okay, you want a better sounding car, or you want something that people just turn around like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the most catching mods possible right now.
Correct.
But we're not going to be covering extreme things like shooting flames and all. Like, but we're going to be touching the basic topics of what changes can be done and what is an ideal setup of an exhaust.
Yeah. So first of all, what is wrong with a stock exhaust? Mainly, stock exhausts are heavy, first of all.
They're very heavy.
Yeah.
They're very heavy. I mean, that's the first thing eventually for drag races, or even what we did for Valley Run. The first thing was we changed the exhaust for weight reduction.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out that video, you should. It's a cool video. We got a full titanium exhaust and we'll explain what kind of exhaust we got.
Yeah.
But you should check out that video.
So coming back to what is the exhaust, or what are the existing problems with the exhaust? One, as you mentioned, the weight. Two, another thing is the exhaust restricts the engine airflow and it restricts the performance of the engine. So they are restricted for normal road driving.
But you would ask, why is this? It's because there are so many restrictions in terms of pollution and noise nowadays because of obviously global warming. A lot of issues are going on. So manufacturers have to comply with all these factors, and that's why they design these exhausts, and of course cost saving. So they look at the cheapest way to build an exhaust system. So they use cheaper materials, which are maybe heavier. All those factors count in. So that's why stock exhausts don't make much noise, and they are more related to reducing pollution and noise.
So noise pollution and reducing CO2 emissions.
Correct, emissions, yes.
Emissions. So to cover it up.
So let's first talk about what the stock exhaust consists of, the basic terminology in an exhaust system. First, we start from the engine block. You have the headers or an exhaust manifold, which takes it to either a turbocharger or directly to the catalytic converter. If your engine is turbocharged, then it goes to the turbocharger. If not, then to the catalytic converter.
Yeah.
Catalytic converter is the actual device which reduces the emissions from your engine. So that is responsible for a lot of things. They have a lot of chemicals in it, which filters the air which comes out of the engine.
After the catalytic converter, we have the resonator. The ideal purpose of the resonator is to further reduce the sound. After the emissions are reduced at the catalytic converter, this helps further suppress the sound of the exhaust. That is why you don't hear it very often when you switch on the car or you're driving. And when some cars you actually hear it, and that's when usually the resonator is broken.
Yeah. And then after the resonator is your muffler and your tips, exhaust tips, etc. And of course the muffler is also responsible to reduce sound. But yeah. So
I mean, I've seen way too many people just change their muffler tips and all that, and even though the car's not doing that great or it's not performing that great, that is one entry point I've seen a lot of modifiers start from.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, before we go into what types of exhaust modifications can be done, why do we actually need to do it? There are either two main reasons that somebody needs to do it. One is for performance upgrades, and two, they just want the sound out of it. So some are purely based to increase the sound of it, but some are also for the actual reason of making your car breathe better, where it's taking in enough air but it's giving out the same amount of air so that it can perform better.
So basically that's the main reason that people change their exhaust. And of course if you change your exhaust, you're reducing the restrictions, so there's a chance that your fuel economy will also improve, but that depends on whether you tune your car or not. And if you change your exhaust system, you definitely need to tune your car, because that will help the ECU understand and help your car perform better.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
First, we'll explain what are the different types of exhaust modifications that are possible.
So now moving on, now is the most important part of what kind of modifications you can do. Basically, what kind of exhaust systems you can install in your car.
I think we can broadly categorize them into three different types. One is an axle back, two is a cat back, and three is a turbo back. There are more specific modifications also available, but that is when you really know what you're doing, and then you can change your headers or your manifolds. We'll get into that a little later. So let's start with what an axle back is.
So axle back is one of the cheapest ways to change your exhaust system. Now axle back is basically just the end pipes, which is your muffler and your exhaust tips. Now anyone can do this because it's basically just switching out your muffler, your stock muffler and stock exhaust tips for something which looks better and basically marginally sounds better. But this does not improve your performance by any way.
It is just purely for the sound, and a little better sound than what it sounds in stock.
Yeah.
And it is one of the most cheapest possible exhaust modifications out there. So it's a good entry point to just get a feel of a car sounding better.
Yeah.
Then we come to a catback exhaust. So in this, a catback exhaust means that after your catalytic converter, you're changing the pipes and you're changing the muffler tips as well. So this will not only help you change the pipe dimensions, this will help your airflow better from the catalytic converter down to the exhaust tips as well. So this does help a little more airflow, and it helps your car perform a little better.
Yeah. And why it's called catback is because basically it's after the catalytic converter. If you look at it, if you think about the car, it's catback. So it's behind the catalytic converter.
That's a very simple way to put it.
Yeah. And of course, here in this case, the resonator is there. So now people can decide whether to keep the resonator or remove the resonator. But here, if you do a catback, there is a slight chance that you may get some performance gains, and this is a more expensive one, definitely more expensive than the axle back.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you get more performance, and of course the car will sound a little better than just changing the muffler and exhaust tips.
So it's a little better ideally than an axle back. So it's not just a little improvement in sound, but also performance.
Yeah.
The third type is a turbo back. Now this changes the game completely. This ideally helps you gain a lot more performance, and it is from the turbocharger. So it's not only changing your catalytic converter, but it's also changing the muffler tips as well. So it's right from the turbocharger till the end. That's why it's a turbo back. So this does help you gain a little more performance, and it is a little more expensive than the catback.
What's important to note here is if you do a turbo back system, it's basically everything after the turbo, as Dhruv rightly said, and it includes your downpipe, your catalytic converter, your resonator, and your muffler and exhaust tip. So it's basically almost the entire exhaust system. So here, obviously, it's going to be much more expensive, but here your sound is going to change drastically,
Yeah.
and secondly, your performance is going to change drastically. Now, with your catalytic converter, you have two options. Now, you either go straight pipe, where you remove everything and you just have one straight pipe down
it's
the
right from the downpipe, it goes out.
and then of course you can choose your muffler and your
But
exhaust tips.
that option of the downpipe is really loud.
Yeah,
Like
and it's very loud.
Loud.
It's extremely
It's
loud,
loud.
and it's illegal in many countries, in fact.
I mean, you are
including
surely going to turn some heads, and it is not a car that you will go unnoticed by.
India. But if you have such a setup, it's definitely good for racing or on the track. If you ever take your car on tracks or drag races, it's perfect for that.
Not recommended for a daily drive for sure.
The second option is you can install a race cat in your car. Now, a race cat is basically it includes a catalytic converter, but of better airflow through the catalytic converter.
You're changing
it's
the
light.
pipe dimensions and making it lighter, better materials used in that.
Yeah. So that's your other option, and this, of course, it won't be as loud as a straight pipe, but
But
it's
the performance gains are much better.
Performance gains, and also the car sounds good, louder than a catback and just an axle back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how.
If you do want a reference of what a straight pipe modification looks like, please do check out our video link up here for Valley Run. That is when we had done a full titanium exhaust with a downpipe and a straight pipe setup, and it just went, the car was flying.
Now there are a lot of other options where you can increase the diameter of your pipes, and you can go for headers and exhaust manifolds and
Severe customization.
Yeah, it's endless. But what's important with exhaust, now the types of exhaust that we mentioned, if you go for a turbo back exhaust, it's definitely recommended that you do a tune, because you need the ECU to understand what kind of modifications you've done.
Absolutely.
So that the engine can understand what's happening better.
So ideally what the purpose of the tune is that you can also change your air to fuel ratios, the amount of air going into the engine and the amount of air leaving the engine. So all these factors, and you can control along with an exhaust that is compatible to that airflow, that maximizes the gains you can get out of your car.
Yeah. So of course, this wasn't an expert video. This is just a noob guide for beginners who want to get into tuning their car and switching their exhaust for something better.
Yeah.
But of course, there are endless more options that you can go for, and experts would obviously know that.
Yeah.
But of course, this is for beginners. So I think that's about it, right?
And also, we have something special waiting for you all in the coming up video, where we are not only going to show you what changes we're doing to our car, we're changing the exhaust, but also which specific type and how it's going to sound. It's going to be really interesting to see.
So thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found this information useful, and let us know if you do actually change your exhaust.
Yeah. Please do like our channel and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you all in the next video.